So yesterday we had an elaborate discussion on the 16th and the 17th verses. So in the 16th verse, there is basically Adav Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, and in the 17th verse there is Bhajan Kriya. So we had a detailed discussion on Anushtita Bhajan Kriya and the various stages and all that. So we'll proceed ahead with text 18. Well known verse. नष्टप्रायेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Please read the purport.
Here is the remedy for eliminating the inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacle in the path of self-realization. The remedy is the association of Bhagavatas. There are two types of Bhagavats, namely the book Bhagavat and the devotee Bhagavat. Both the Bhagavats are competent remedies, and both of them or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. A devotee Bhagavat is as good as book Bhagavat because the devotee Bhagavat lived his life in terms of book Bhagavat. And book Bhagavat is full of information about the personality of Godhead and his pure devotee, who are also Bhagavats. Bhagavat book and person are identical. The devotee Bhagavat is direct representative of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. So by pleasing the devotee Bhagavat, one can receive the benefit of book Bhagavat. Human reason failed to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavat or book Bhagavat one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually, these are a fact explained by Srila Narad Dev, who happened to be the maid servant son in the previous life. The maid servant was engaged in the manual service of the sages, and thus he also came in contact with them. And simply by associating with them and accepting the remnants of foodstuff left by the sages, the son of the maid servant got the chance to become the great devotee and personality Sri Narad Dev. These are the miraculous effect of the association of Bhagavats. And to understand this effect practically, it should be noted that by such a sincere association of Bhagavats, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he become fixed in devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of Bhagavat, the more one becomes fixed in transcendental loving service of the Lord. The message of the book Bhagavat, therefore, have to be received from the devotee Bhagavat, and the combination of these two Bhagavatas will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on.
So this 18th verse is basically representing the two stages of Anartha Nivritti and Nishtha. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. So Abhadra means all that is inauspicious or all that is troublesome. In the word-to-word, Prabhupada translates it as all that is inauspicious, and in the translation he says all that is troublesome. So both are correct. So all the abhadras, all the anarthas, they are inauspicious, and the result of the anarthas is trouble. So therefore, by Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, so that is also the Bhajan Kriya, that is the process. The process is Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. By that Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya, what happens is Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. So the word Prayeshu is used. Prayeshu means almost to nil, proper translates it as. Almost to nil. That means not completely. So even in the stage of Nishtha, all the anarthas are not destroyed. So again, Vishnu Thakur in the Madhurya Kadamini describes how the various anarthas are gradually destroyed. So he describes how there are four types of anarthas: Sukritotha, Dushkritotha, Bhaktiyotha, and Apradotha. Anarthas due to Sukriti, anarthas due to Dushkriti or sinful activities, anarthas due to Bhakti, which are basically the weeds that grow along with the Bhakti creeper, we discussed that yesterday. And the anarthas due to apradhs, offenses. So anarthas basically means material desires. So that's basically what is anartha. What is anartha? Material desires. So these are material desires that come due to different causes. And so then he explains how these different types of anarthas are destroyed at various stages of devotion. So most of these anarthas are destroyed by the time one comes to asakti. So anartha nivritti, then nishtha, ruchi, asakti. So by the time one comes to asakti, most of these anarthas are destroyed. But the anarthas due to offenses, aparadhs, especially Vaishnava aparadh, they continue till prema. So the effects of these the effects of offenses is so disastrous that they can continue till prema. That means practically only when one goes back to the spiritual world, those effects are totally eradicated. And so therefore the word here used is prayeshu. In one lecture, Prabhupada says 75%. In any case, the point is that all the anarthas are not destroyed even at the stage of nishtha. Therefore, prayeshu. So now Prabhupada is explaining how there is the book Bhagavad and the devotee Bhagavad. And both the Bhagavatas are competent remedies. And both of them or either of them, both of them or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. So both are competent and both of them or either of them. Somebody like to explain this? Both of them or either of them?
Any of that is competent.
Both are competent.
Even one is competent.
Yeah, so then, okay, so one is also enough, right? So then I have a choice, that means. I can choose one of the two.
Both are supplementary.
Huh?
Both are supplementary to each other.
Okay, what do you mean by supplementary?
When we do one, then automatically other will also go.
If you do one, then automatically other will also go hand in hand. That means we need to do only one. Okay, fine.
Either of them, but book Bhagavatam will still require Bhagavatam.
Why?
Because without mercy of devotee, it is not possible to attain success. And
Why?
Bhagavatam, when he will speak, whatever he speak, that will be Bhagavatam.
Okay.
So that he will cover both of these aspects.
Okay, so in other words, you're saying that the person Bhagavat is sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay. Something else?
If we go to person Bhagavat,
Ah.
he will also refer to book Bhagavat. Or if you go to book Bhagavat, then he will refer to person Bhagavat. Either of one, if you go.
So, what is the final conclusion? So, both are required, one is required. If you say one, then who? What is the conclusion?
As actually we should one. If you say one, then book Bhagavat.
No, I am not saying one.
Okay.
Prabhupada is saying either one or both. So, what's the
If
conclusion?
you consider either one, then person Bhagavat.
So, what is your understanding? One is sufficient? No.
Not.
Not sufficient. Then why Prabhupada has written like?
Maybe it is because if we go to one, he will refer to other.
Okay, okay, your point is correct.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We will read book Bhagavatam. So book Bhagavatam talks about examples like Maharaj, Ramesh Maharaj.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like very high examples.
Mhm.
When we see somebody in practice following book Bhagavatam, principles of Bhagavatam, so it will make more sense to us.
Mm-hmm.
And the other way is also true.
Okay, correct.
So both are.
Okay, Mithun.
Because if book Bhagavatam will refer us to person Bhagavatam, and person Bhagavatam will help us to reveal what is there in book Bhagavatam. So it is like two faces of one coin. It's not like two different.
Okay, that's good. Yes. Two faces of one coin. Yes. Yes, Anuj.
Person Bhagavat is more accessible and easy also, and that should be sufficient because in case of Narad Muni you see that he received the mercy and then he followed the person Bhagavat. You don't get so many incidences in his life where he was to study and things like that. He just served them and then just followed their instruction and then he achieved perfection.
Okay, so the person Bhagavat is sufficient. And I think so we should close this course, right?
Person Bhagavatam has referred to us as towards book Bhagavatam. That's why we are reading. Otherwise, if you would have not done so,
Okay, okay, that's correct. Hmm.
Srimad Bhagavatam, book Bhagavatam gives a descriptions and explanations about who is Bhagavat, person Bhagavat.
Hmm.
So person Bhagavat, he speaks only from Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay,
So in that way, both are together.
okay, yes, that's one final.
Prabhupada rates both of them or either of them. Both of them are good, but in case suppose someone is illiterate or someone has become blind, he cannot read Bhagavatam. So it does not discard him to achieve perfection. He can still attain perfection by hearing the person Bhagavatam.
Yes, good. Okay, fine. So I think so that's sufficient churning of that point. Hmm. So yes, if you go to the book Bhagavad, Bhagavad Gita says what? 434? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So that is what the Bhagavad Gita is saying. And if you go to the Bhagavatam, what is the Bhagavatam saying?
Nityam Bhagavatam.
That's not Guru Prabhupada.
Yes, tasmad gurum prapadyeta jigyasu shreya uttamam. So, and then we find all the great personalities, including the Supreme Lord Krishna himself, going to a person Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going. So therefore, the book Bhagavat is directing one to the person Bhagavat. And so, we go to the person Bhagavat, and the person Bhagavat gives us an instruction to read the book Bhagavat. So therefore, both are essential. But as Gautama Prabhu has rightly said, that in case either one of them is not accessible for whatever reason, then one is also sufficient. But as far as most of us are concerned, we have access to both. And so if we have access to both, then definitely we should take advantage of both. But if somebody does not have access, just like the South Indian Brahman at Srirangam, he could not read. He had the Bhagavad Gita, but he could not read. But yet, what he was trying to do? Follow the instructions of the book Bhagavad. So because he was trying to follow the instructions, even though he could not read, but still he attained perfection. So if for some reason one cannot access the book Bhagavad, then yes, then hearing from the person Bhagavad and following the instructions is sufficient. And due to some reason, if a person Bhagavad is not accessible, somebody is staying in some wilderness somewhere, there's no access, whatever may be the reason, then the book Bhagavad is also sufficient. So, in case either one of them is not accessible, then yes, one of them is sufficient. But if both are accessible, then definitely one should take advantage of both. Okay. Now the other important sentence, but then both are equally important. Prabhupada ends the first paragraph by saying the Bhagavad book and person are identical. Identical. So both are equally potent. Now, then in the next paragraph he says, so by pleasing the devotee Bhagavat, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavat. And then he says, human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavat or the book Bhagavat, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. What does this sentence mean? Human reason fails to understand. Yes, any thoughts? Yes.
Many times new people can see that devotees serving sannyasis and devotees, and they say they like Guru Puja also. Outside people will get bewildered. What is this? How can you are worshipping a person? How can one can advance in spiritual life?
Mm-hmm.
What is the reason? Such kind of question is this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Generally, they misunderstand.
Okay, that's for outside people. So the statement is only meant for outside people.
No, sometimes neophytes like me also. Sometimes it happens. Devotees, we are trying to serve them. Sometimes I also have a habit. Sometimes we see it's on our level, in my level, in my consciousness. I see them just simple activities only. So in that cases, they becomes a stumbling block for advancement.
Okay, good. Something more? Those who have not participated, we kindly request you to participate. Okay.
They don't have sufficient faith that this studying this what was that whatever something serving the so that will eradicate the problem.
Don't be so attached to the comment. Yes, bro, please.
They don't have faith that like studying this shastra and all those things.
Who doesn't have faith?
Whoever means human reasons, Prabhupada. So in people in general, yes, even sometimes it comes to devotee also.
What they can't understand?
That by pursuing bhakti, that they can be free from all the weaknesses.
Okay. Yes.
Human reasons fail because we are limited with four imperfects. We have defects, so that becomes the reason we are not able to understand how mercy flows.
Okay, that's a good point. Yes,
So, actually, we are not performing sacrifice or austerity. Like staying
We're not performing sacrifice, austerity.
like staying in Himalayas.
Oh, only that is austerity.
So people may think that reading Bhagavatam, it is so simple, sitting in AC room and reading Bhagavatam. So how it can help one to advance so fast? So they don't consider the mercy part.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yes, come.
Prabhupada said when in the lecture that 7 mudra is Jiva
Mm.
by reading this term, the faith level also increases. How that will happen? That is mystery. We cannot understand. We have to engage the term.
Correct. Okay, good point. Somebody else? Okay.
So one can understand the person or the concept which is on his level. So he cannot understand which is above.
So what is above?
So the man fails to understand how the serving devotee. The person is on his level. He only can understand, access those things on his level. So
Okay.
he fails to understand.
Okay, fine. Okay, so is it?
Like in one of the kind of interview with some scholar that comes in Prabhupada's ever well-wisher that he tells that when he first time met devotees, he was very he understood that his devotees are very ignorant about what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
He could see that they have no idea. But then he saw that, but they are very staunch.
Mm-hmm.
So he said that was very surprising to me that they don't know the whole thing and still they are very staunch. Then he says that doubt he had till the point he met Swamiji.
Mm-hmm.
And then he understood he is the person behind the staunch practice.
Mm-hmm.
So because they were ignorant
Mm-hmm.
and because they were serving pure devotee, all other good qualities, other understanding were automatically coming,
Mm-hmm.
like being very strict and staunch and dedicated and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very difficult for common person to understand that without pre-qualification they are acting on very high level of
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Yes, good points.
Human reasons or logic acts on material platform.
Mm.
When it comes to a spiritual platform, so it is heart-to-heart transformation that happens. So
Mm.
that common man cannot understand that how by pleasing a devotee,
Mm.
so that pleases the super soul and then it inspires him and it
Mm.
makes him.
Well, good points. Yes.
As per human reasons, one can progress in life by mastering over things,
Mm.
being a lord of things, but
Mm.
by serving, they cannot conceive like one will advance.
Okay, that's also nice. Yes. You may have heard this pastime of devotees were doing book distribution in Brazil, and they met. It was a very remote place, and they met a lady who was a devotee, and then the devotee asked, "How did you become a devotee? And you're staying in this remote place." And then she told that how when she was young, she was an air hostess. And then Srila Prabhupada was there on that particular flight, and Srila Prabhupada was having breakfast. And this air hostess goes and asks him, "So Swamiji, would you like to have something?" Prabhupada said, "No, we have our food, we don't require." And then she walked away, but Super Soul's inspiration, she comes back and without any prior notice, permission, courtesy, nothing, she just puts the hand in Prabhupada's plate. Most probably was eating some puffed rice. She grabs some and puts in her mouth and walks away. So disciples could not do anything. It was too quick for them to do anything. And Prabhupada just smiled, that's all. But just see the potency. Now where is the logic here? How by eating from somebody's plate, how one becomes infected with the qualities of that person, which scientists can give a logical explanation. Any IT engineers can give a logical explanation. No, there is no logic. There is no logic. That is why Prabhupada is writing. Human reason fails to understand. Devotee, non-devotee. Prabhupada is saying what? Human reason. So it doesn't matter, devotee or non-devotee. Human reason. That means it's beyond the scope of human logical intelligence to understand how this works. So if we try to apply logic, it just doesn't work. And that's how we find so many people. They get transformed by coming in touch with devotees, by some little association. So much transformation takes place. how that transformation takes place, it doesn't follow any logical pattern. So therefore, the element of faith is very important. That yes, if we simply follow this, serving the book Bhagavad and the person Bhagavad, if we simply follow this, the result is different. How it acts, how it works, you do not understand the intricacies, but then it works. That's the facts. And so therefore, human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavat or the book Bhagavat, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. So sometimes devotees may think, we were discussing these points before also, one tends to underestimate the value of the instructions coming from the person Bhagavat. So in Mayapur you can see His Grace Janaimas Prabhu, every day he will come and sit for the Bhagavatam class. He will bring his book and he will sit. Irrespective of who is giving class. The person giving the class may be a kid in front of him, but still he comes and sits. So once somebody asked him, "Oh, why daily, every day, unless he has some service, every day he comes and sits?" So he gave a very simple answer. Anybody can guess what's the answer? Yes, that was the answer. Srila Prabhupada has given us the instruction to sit in the Bhagavatam class and hear the Bhagavatam every day. Therefore, I'm coming. Now, many times we tend to apply logic. So we tend to discriminate. Oh, today who's giving class? Oh, that devotee is giving class. We know what is speak. I think there are better things to do. Or maybe I'll do something better. So this is called what? Applying logic. So we tend to think, okay, if I hear this class, I'll get something. If I hear that class, I will get something. So this is what? Using our own limited mind, intelligence, logic. And basically what we are trying to get is our own mental and intellectual titillation. That is what we are trying to get. But we fail to understand the potency of the instruction that is coming from the Acharya. Why? Human reason fails to understand. So one thinks, what's so great about it? What's so great about it? Such a simple thing. And then that tendency, it extends to other things also. Then slowly it extends to other things. Oh, what this 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna? What chanting Hare Krishna? What chanting? What one get chanting? It's a fact. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact. Initiated devotees sometimes don't chant 16 rounds. It's a fact. I know it because I've spoken to some. And they take it just so casually. Why? Human reason fails to understand. Because we think something big then that's something great, isn't it? Instead of chanting Hare Krishna, if you have some big management meeting or you do something constructive, concrete, then that's something great, isn't it? You sit down in one place, take this mala and chant Hare Krishna. What's great about that? Who appreciates that? Anybody appreciates? Anybody appreciates? Prabhu, you chanted good rounds today. Maybe we should announce it during Mangalarti. What's that?
Only super search.
Yes, only super soul. Now, it takes some realization to say that. That's the problem. Human reason fails to understand. And therefore, we mentioned the other day, Prabhupada is writing in one of his letters. You remember that statement? Was that? The spiritual potency of this movement lies in these simple instructions. Not in big things. In what? These simple instructions. Referring to the morning program, chanting 16 rounds, attending Bhagavatam class. These simple instructions, Prabhupada, the spiritual potency of the movement, Prabhupada is writing, of the movement. And we are part of the movement, correct? But then that's what human reason fails to understand. Oh, these simple instructions, they have spiritual potency. Come on, what are you talking? That's why Prabhupada is writing. Human reason fails to understand. Can't understand just by logic. So therefore, we don't understand. But our business is to follow. So we don't understand, fine. We can't understand by logic. Just follow. And then when we follow, then what happens? What happens? Gradual promotion on the path of devotion. That's the result. And then he gives the example of Narad Muni. And then he says, these are the miraculous effects of the association of the Bhagavatas. So again, so inconceivable. This illiterate boy, orphan, no qualification, no formal education, nothing. No qualification whatsoever. And he just associated with these Mahatmas for how many days? Some 4 months. Not too long, just 4 months. And what did he do? He did some very big things. What did he do? He was doing some menial services, maybe serving them prasadam, cleaning, and then he took permission from them, he took remnants. That's all. Now somebody hearing that, what would somebody say? Is there anything great in what he did? Did he construct temples? Did he give Bhagavad Kathas? Anything big he did? Nothing big. Such simple things he did. And he became such a great exalted devotee, Narad Muni. Where is the logic? Where is the logic? But those simple activities that he did, according to his capacity, that was his capacity. He was a child, what else could he do? He did according to his capacity. But he did that sincerely. And because he did that sincerely, what was the result? Before that? Yes, exactly. The Bhaktivedantas were pleased. By that sincere service, they were pleased. That does the magic. That does the miracle. Yasya prasadhat bhagavad prasad. So when the devotees are pleased, who is pleased? Krishna is pleased. And then Krishna does the magic. What is impossible for Krishna? So Krishna does the magic. So therefore, it doesn't follow any logical pattern. But the essence is this. The essence is with faith, when one sincerely serves and pleases the devotees, pleases the acharyas, then the mercy flows. And that mercy is what creates the miraculous effects. And that's what Prabhupada says. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavatas, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily. And here when Prabhupada is talking about transcendental knowledge, it's not just theoretical knowledge, but transcendental knowledge means Vigyan. It's realized knowledge. And it's only on the basis of that realized knowledge, with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas. So you see every word, every sentence, so much of meaning. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas. So we may think, I will do something wonderful, something magnificent on my own, without consultation. I will do something, I will show to the world. No. Yesterday somebody was telling the pastime of that Dandvat Parikrama, somebody was sharing. So somebody thinks like that, oh, I will do something wonderful and I will become such a great devotee. It doesn't work that way. That's not the principle of bhakti. We are not here to prove anything to the world. We are not here for that purpose. We are here only for one purpose, and that is to please the person Bhagavat. That is the only purpose. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The messages of the book Bhagavad therefore have to be received from the devotee Bhagavat. So you see, even though initially Prabhupada said either or, but now Prabhupada is concluding his purport by saying the messages have to be received from the book, the devotee Bhagavat, and the combination of the two Bhagavatas. So this is a general instruction for everyone. The combination of these two Bhagavatas will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on. Alright? Okay. Text 19. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayasche cheta eterana viddham stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion, ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. So then this is what happens after the stage of Nishtha. When one becomes fixed in one's practices of devotional service, then gradually the effects of Rajas and Tamas will gradually reduce. Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava. So the symptoms of Rajas and Tamas are Kama Lobha. Kama Lobha Daische. So these symptoms will reduce and then he becomes fixed. Stitam Sattve Prasidati. So he becomes fixed in goodness. He becomes fixed in goodness. So in the second paragraph of this purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the effect of devotional service becomes manifest by complete elimination of these effects of passion and ignorance. The devotee is fixed at once in the mode of goodness, and he makes further progress to rise to the position of Vasudeva, or the state of unmixed sattva or Shuddha sattva. Only in the Shuddha sattva state can one always see Krishna eye to eye by dint of pure affection for the Lord. So here he is fixed in goodness, and of course the Shuddha sattva only descends at the stage of bhava, but here he is fixed in goodness, as Prabhupada is writing. Complete elimination of effects of passion and ignorance. In the last paragraph he says, the harmful, foolish and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord. However, they may advertise themselves as devotees by outward dress. A devotee is always qualified with all the good qualities of gods. In that connection, I just want to make one point. So we know this famous, what's the famous verse for this? A devotee is always qualified with all the good qualities of God. Who speaks this verse? Yes, Prahlad Maharaj speaks this verse in the 5th canto. Yasyasi bhakti bhagavata kinchana sarvair gunai samasate suraha harava bhaktasya kuto madhuguna manorathi nasti bhavata. So sometimes we may find a devotee may not exhibit very good qualities in terms of humility or tolerance, self-control and things like that. Okay, so again I'm taking this discussion from the Madhurya Kadamani. So he describes at the stage of Nishtha, there could be two devotees. So one devotee is very much fixed in his core practices of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam. So these Navida Bhakti, these are the core activities of devotional service. But he may not exhibit very good qualities in terms of his behavior, maybe a little hot-tempered, gets angry very fast, maybe a little harsh speech and things like that. And there could be another devotee who is very wonderfully behaved, very well behaved, fine speech, fine behavior, appears very tolerant, humble, but his core devotional practices are not so good in terms of Shravanam, Kirtanam, all that. So amongst these two devotees, who do you think is more steadily fixed on the path of devotional service?
At the stage of Nishtha?
Yes, we're talking about the stage of Nishtha.
Both are Nishtha.
Yes, we could say yes, both are on the stage of Nishtha. But if you have a comparative study, then who do you think is on a better steadily fixed platform? What do you mean by first? Why? Okay.
Sooner by doing so, he will develop all the good qualities.
Okay, fine. So the first is already developed.
But because he is not following the rules and regulations, he is going to lose that all qualities.
Why?
Because
Then in the first place, how did he have them?
that due to his previous securities or karmas he has.
Mm.
But now because he is not acting on the platform
Mm.
of devotional service,
Mm.
he will surely going to lose.
Good, good. That's right. That's right. So, therefore, a devotee should not be judged on the basis of externals. So, somebody who is coming from a pious background, a sattvagun background, so then he's likely to have good behavior and good qualities. All that he's likely to have. That may essentially be due to sattvagun, because he's coming from that type of background. But if he does not maintain the sattvagun, how can he maintain a sattvagun? By the devotional practices. That is what is being said here. By the devotional practices, then sthitam sattve prasidhati. Then the sattva will become steady. So, if the devotional practices are not there, then the sattva will not be steady. We discussed this quite a few times till now. 14th chapter, 10th verse of Bhagavad Gita. The three modes are always in competition. So, if there are no efforts to maintain the sattva, then it's just a matter of time. The rajas and tamas are just waiting. So therefore, if the devotional practices are not strong, somebody may have good qualities because of sattva, but then the sattva will very soon be overpowered by rajas and tamas, and then the good qualities can vanish. But on the other hand, somebody has good devotional practices, and maybe he is coming from such a background of rajas and tamas, and so therefore he may not have good qualities externally. But as he continues in his devotional practices, then it's just a matter of time that the effects of rajas and tamas will be finished, and sattva will manifest, and then all the good qualities will manifest. Is this point clear? Right? So therefore, to discriminate for the sake of association, not for the sake of judgment. To discriminate for the sake of association and not for the sake of judgment. Discrimination has to be based on core devotional practices and not on external behavior. Is it clear? Okay, fine. So we'll proceed. Text 20. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogatah bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So the 20th verse is basically indicating Bhava Bhakti. So as you can see, here it is said that Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogatah bhagavad tattva vijnanam. So mukta sangha se jayate is on the mukta platform, the liberated platform. So liberated platform means what? Free from the influence of the modes, that is the liberated platform. And therefore Srila Prabhupada in his translation he says, thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness. So this is Shuddha Sattva platform. So we have discussed this in Nectar of Devotion also. At the Bhava platform, the Shuddha Sattva descends into the heart of the devotee. It is called as Prema Ankura. It is like a ray of sunlight of Prema. It's just the beginning of Prema. So, or the sprout of Prema, Prema Ankura. So, the Shuddha Sattva descends. And because the Shuddha Sattva is composed of, what is Shuddha Sattva composed of? Huh? You are giving some synonyms. We discussed in Nectar of Devotion. Yes. The Samvit Shakti and the Ladhini Shakti. combination of the Samvit and Ladhini is what comprises Shuddha Sattva. And so therefore, when the Shuddha Sattva descends, the complete knowledge potency and the pleasure potency manifests. And exactly those two effects are being mentioned. The two effects are what? Positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godheads. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. He gets full knowledge. Tattva Vijnanam. Full scientific knowledge. That means it's a realization. It's not simply some theoretical knowledge. It is the Samvit Shakti that manifests within the hearts. And Evam Prasanna Manaso. So the Ladhini potency manifests as happiness. So because these two potencies manifest in the heart of the devotee, therefore he exhibits these two symptoms. And he is on the liberated platform. Mukta Sangasya Jayate. In the second paragraph of his purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, and as soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, he at once seizes his material hankerings and becomes enlivened as a spiritual being. Or, as the Bhagavad Gita says, this is the Brahmabhuta stage. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kamshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim lavate param. Of course, that verse refers to Jnananishta Jnani. So that's referring to a Jnani. But the symptoms remain the same. So basically the Brahmabhuta stage is the liberated stage. So because, as Prabhupada is writing here, what he understands, he has nothing to do with matter. So he has perfectly realized, I am not the body, I am spirit soul. So therefore, na shochati, na kamshati. So there is no lamentation for losing anything, there is no hankering for material things, because he is not on the bodily platform. So therefore he is happy, because when there is nothing to lament about and nothing to hanker, then what will prevent one from being happy? Usually when one is not happy, when there is hankering for something, oh, I'm not getting this, or I lost this. So because of hankering and lamentation, which are only due to bodily conception of life, therefore one fails to be happy. But when one perfectly understands that I'm not this body, then obviously one will be. So this attainment of success is possible when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance, or in other words, when one is actually a Brahmana by qualification. Okay. And then further down he says, the Brahmanical stage is the highest stage of human life because of its good qualities. So one cannot be a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmana. So being a devotee is actually a very high platform. But here, which type of devotee is being referred to? Which devotee? Bhava. We're talking about devotee at the platform of Bhava. So that's real devotee. Before that stage, it is all what? Yes, practicing, apprentice, as Prabhupada said, apprentice devotee. So the real devotee is one who's on the platform of Bhava. So then that devotee definitely he has to have all the Brahmanical qualifications. He has to be on the goodness. Then only he can be on Shuddha Sattva. So the devotee is already a Brahmana by action. But that is not the end of it. As referred to above, such a Brahmana has to become a Vaishnava. In fact, to be actually in the transcendental stage. A pure Vaishnava is a liberated soul. Okay, this is the definition of a really pure Vaishnava. That's a liberated soul and is transcendental even to the position of a Brahmana. In the material stage, even a Brahmana is also conditioned soul, because although in the Brahmanical stage, the conception of Brahman or transcendence is realized, scientific knowledge of the Supreme Lord is lacking. One has to surpass the Brahmanical stage and reach the Vasudeva stage to understand the personality of Lord Krishna. And Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, okay, we'll read some on the other sentence. The science of the personality of Godhead is the subject matter for study by the postgraduate students in the spiritual line. Foolish men or men with a poor fund of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord and interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. The fact is, however, that one cannot understand the science of the personality of Godhead unless one is freed from the contamination of the material modes. Note the points. One cannot understand the signs of the personality of Godhead unless one is free from the contamination of the material modes, even up to the stage of a pramana. That means one has to be freed even from goodness, or rather, one has to transcend even goodness to come to Shuddha Sattva to get the complete realization of the Supreme Lord. That is the point. So it's only on the Vasudev stage or the Brahmabhuta stage or the liberated stage that one gets the complete scientific understanding of the personality of Godhead. So then, for that, at least one should try to come to goodness. And therefore, then we should see how we can lead a life which is more conducive to goodness. When a qualified Brahmana factually becomes a Vaishnava in the enlightened state of liberation, he can know what is actually the personality of Godhead. Text 21. Vidyate hridaya grantis siddhyante sarva samshayaha kshiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishvare. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as the master. Okay, read this first paragraph. Or actually, we can read the whole book. Read the whole book.
Attaining the scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead means seeing one's own self simultaneously. As far as the identity of the living being as the spirit self is concerned, there are a number of speculations and misgivings. The materialist does not believe in the existence of the spirit self, and empiric philosophers believe in the impersonal future of the whole spirit without individuality of the living beings. But the transcendentalists affirm that the soul and the supersoul are two different identities, qualitatively one but quantitatively different. There are many other theories, but all of these different speculations are at once cleared off as soon as Sri Krishna is realized in truth by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Sri Krishna is like the sun, and the materialistic speculations about the absolute truth are like the darkest midnight. As soon as the Krishna sun is arisen within one's heart, the darkness of materialistic speculations about the absolute truth and the living being is at once cleared off. In the presence of the sun, the darkness cannot stand, and the relative truth that were hidden within the dense darkness of ignorance become clearly manifested by the mercy of Krishna, who is residing in everyone's heart as a super soul. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.11, the Lord says that in order to show some special favor to his pure devotees, he personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of a devotee. Therefore, because of the personality of Godhead taking care of illuminating the heart,
Taking charge.
taking charge of illuminating the heart of his devotee, certainly a devotee engaged in his service and transcendental love cannot remain in darkness. He comes to know everything of the absolute and the relative truths. The devotee cannot remain in darkness, and because a devotee is enlightened by the personality of Godhead, his knowledge is certainly perfect. This is not the case for those who speculate on the absolute truth by dint of their own limited power of approach. Perfect knowledge is called parampara or directive knowledge, coming down from the authority to the submissive oral receiver who is a bona fide by service and surrender. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme and know him also at the same time. He reserves the right of not being exposed to such a challenging spirit of an insignificant spark of the whole, a spark subjected to the control of illusory energy. The devotees are submissive, and therefore the transcendental knowledge descends from the personality of Godhead to Brahma, and from Brahma to his sons, and disciples in succession. This process is helped by the Supreme Soul, by the Super Soul within such devotees. That is a perfect way of learning transcendental knowledge. This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from matter, because the knot of a spirit and matter is united by the Lord. Untied by the Lord. This knot is called ahankara, and it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter. As soon as this knot is loosened, therefore, all the clouds of doubt are at once cleared off. One sees his master and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of fruitive action. In material existence, a living being creates his own first chain of fruitive work and enjoys the good and bad effects of those actions life after life. But as soon as he engages himself in the loving service of the Lord, he at once becomes free from the chain of karma. His actions no longer create any reaction.
So bhidyate hridaya granthis. So the hridaya granthi, we are talking about this in some previous class also. Yes. Kratitam or hridaya granthi, the knots. Knot. Prabhupada is writing in the last paragraph. Yes, false ego. That is the knot. This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from matter, because the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord. This knot is called ahankar. And it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter. So the cause of misidentification with matter is what? Ahankar. So that is the knot between spirit and matter. The reason why spirit misidentifies with matter is the ahankar. And so, as Srila Prabhupada is a little graphically putting it, the Lord unties it. The knot, he unties the knot between spirit and matter. That means it destroys false ego. So basically what is happening here, as we saw in the previous verse, it has been described, Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, the Samvit potency, knowledge potency descends into the heart. So there's full knowledge. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is explaining this purport, that a devotee cannot be in darkness. As soon as the Krishna sun is arisen within one's heart, the darkness of materialistic speculations about the absolute truth and living beings is at once cleared off. And then he's quoting 10:11, Tesham evan kampartham. So basically the devotee cannot be in ignorance, especially at this stage. We're talking about bhava and prema. So surely such a devotee can never be in ignorance, because the samvit potency itself descends into the heart. And so when the ignorance is destroyed, then obviously the false ego also has to be destroyed. And when the false ego is destroyed, then drishta evat manishware. So therefore, before that, chityante sarva samshaya, all the doubts are destroyed, because there's full knowledge. So when there's full knowledge, where there can be doubts? So no more doubts, full knowledge. Because there is full knowledge, then obviously there cannot be any fruitive actions, no fruitive actions, no fruitive reactions. So the entire chain of action reaction is terminated because of being in full knowledge. The cause of fruitive actions is what? Yes, ignorance, avidya. That is the cause. So when avidya is destroyed, then the entire chain of fruitive actions and reactions is terminated, and drishte eva atmani ishware. So the meaning is, the Atma gets the full realization that I am servant and the Lord is my master. And one gets a full realization of that. Or another meaning of the word Atma, one realizes the self as the master. The other meaning is here, the self is the super self. So one realizes that the super self is the master. So in either case, whatever it is, in whichever way you take it, basically there is a full realization that I am simply a servant. No other designation, because false ego is gone. Because of false ego only there are so many designations on the material platform. So false ego is gone, all designations are gone, one gets a full realization about the simple truths. What is that? Jivera Swaruphoy, Krishnera Nityadas. Full realization of this facts. So, and at this stage, it is described. So here he says, both the 20th verse is both bhava and prema. So the 21st verse is actually, he has even darshan of the Lord, his master. He has darshan of his master. So anyway, these are all the higher stages, bhava, prema. And the last verse of the section, 22. Ato vai kavayo nityam bhaktim paramaya mudha vasudeve bhagavati kurvantyatma prasadani. Certainly therefore, so after hearing all the glories of devotional service and the effects of devotional service, certainly therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of God, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. So, when one understands that such are the glorious effects of the practice of devotional service, then since time immemorial, the great sages, they have been performing Kavaya, transcendentalist sages, they have been performing Bhaktim Paramaya, Muda means with great delights, they have been performing the devotional service, because one understands that Kurvanti Atma Prasadani, because such devotional service totally satisfies the self. Okay, so now Vishwanath Thakur divides these 9 stages into 14 stages. So we'll just go through this. So in the 16th verse, he divides into 4 stages. What are the 4 stages? Satam Kripa, Mahat Seva, Shraddha, and Guru Padashraya. Okay, these are the 4 stages in the 16th verse. So first is Satam Kripa, as we were discussing. How one begins devotional service? Because of mercy of a devotee. Because of mercy of a devotee, one begins devotional service. Either it could be Harinam, it could be Prasadam, it could be a book, whatever it is. It is a mercy of a devotee. So therefore devotional service begins with Satam Kripa. Then he comes into the association of devotees, he performs more service, Mahat Seva. When he performs the service, then the Shraddha awakens. And then when the Shraddha awakens, then he takes firm shelter of a Vaishnav, that is Guru Padashraya. Now this does not necessarily mean Diksha, but this is taking shelter of a Vaishnav. So there is a more committed shelter to a Vaishnav. Then, it's the 16th and the 17th verse. The next stage, he says, is Bhajaneshu Spriha. That means a desire. Spriha means a desire for performing bhakti, to performing bhajan, or to performing the activities of devotional service. A firm desire develops. Okay. So till now, he was performing some service, but then a more committed desire to serve, to hear, to perform the various angas of bhakti, a more committed desire comes up. And then obviously when the desire is there, then he performs also. Shrinutam, Swakata, Krishna, all that. So he performs then. And then in the 18th verse, he says there are 3 stages. Bhakti, Anartha Bhagama, and Nishtha. So bhakti means the process of devotional service, that is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, that is bhakti, which leads to Anartha Bhagama or Anartha Nivritti, and then Nishtha. No, in the 17th there is only one. Bhajaneshu Spriha. In the 18th there are 3. Yes. Alright, in 18 there is Bhakti, that is the process of devotional service, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, leading to Anartha Bhagama or Anartha Nivritti, and then leading to Nishtha. And then the 19th verse, then it's similar. The 19th verse is Ruchi and Asakti. The 20th verse is Rati or Bhava and Prema. Now he puts in the 20th and 21st verse, he puts Darshanam. Actually, Darshanam of the Lord, especially we see in the 21st verse. And in the 20th verse, he also adds one more stage, that is Harer Madhurya Anubhava, experiencing the Lord's sweetness. So, because 20th verse is indicating Bhava, Prema, so obviously there's going to be a realization of the Lord's sweetness. Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, he has full realization of the Supreme Lord's sweetness, qualities, pastimes. So, all that realization takes place at that stage. So in this way, he divides these 9 stages into 14 stages, adding a few details. Alright? Okay, so I think so we'll take a break now, and then if you have some questions, you can ask after the break. Alright? And then we'll continue. Hare Krishna.